Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nick, and today's webinar is on grouping, cut, copy, and paste. Just like all of our webinars, this is going to be recorded, and I will also be sending out a PDF at the conclusion of the class, so that way you have some documentation to refer back to so that you can try this on your own time as well. Like I mentioned, today's class is on the grouping, cut, copy, and paste features in Envisioneer. Some of the topics that we're going to cover today are going to be inserting a group of elements into your drawing, grouping elements in your drawing to create a single element for your catalog, using the cut, copy, and paste options in your worksheet views, and then using the cutting and pasting options in your model view. The first thing we're going to look at is inserting. We're going to be looking at inserting a group of elements. So elements in a model can be grouped together and saved to the catalog. The shipping catalog includes predefined groups of elements, and you can take this group of elements and add it into any drawing that you create. Once the elements have been added into a project, they are completely independent and their properties can be modified. Using this group tool is an excellent way to show base plus options for your designs. To do this, what we're going to do is we're going to go into our program and we're going to select the group or insert group button under building. This will bring up the default folder, which shows you a couple of options that have been loaded into the program for you by default. As you can see, we have a sunroom and a pergola. And these are just a group of elements that have been added together to create this one particular group. So if I was to double click on sunroom, it will bring up the group in the catalog, and it's going to show me a list of all the elements that have been grouped together to make up this one element itself. And if I zoom around in this preview, you can see what it's actually comprised of. And we can see that there's a ceiling fan, we have 2 armchairs, there's a coffee table and a couch, as well as all the walls and anything that makes up that wall itself is also going to be included in this element list. Once I'm ready to insert this, I simply just select it from the catalog, bring it into my drawing area, and I'm just going to line this up as close as I can to my model, and I'm going to drop it in so that it looks like it's an option to be added in to this model. So here we can see that I've basically taken this sunroom and I'm using it as an option other than just creating a dining room here and placing it off to the side of this other unit. Again, just showing a different variance in that design that we can do. Once I have that added in, I can again modify this in any way that I need to. So I can take windows and delete them out. I can move furniture around. I can take this wall and add openings to it. Again, anything that you would normally be able to do, you can still do that after you insert your groups. It is just grouping those elements together and then placing it into your drawing area. Next, I want to talk about grouping elements that are already in your drawing to create a single element. So you can create a group of elements in your drawing and automatically create a new single element in the catalog, which comprises all the elements in the group. So for example, if you have added an island layout to your model and you know you're going to be using this again in the future, you can select all the elements that make up that island and create a new island layout element. You can then use the Insert Group tool to insert the custom island layout element into any new drawing or any drawing that you have open. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in on this portion of my model over here on the right-hand side, and I have an island already drawn in here. And this is a typical island that I know I'm going to use in a multiple set of drawings. So I want to create a copy of this, so that way I can use it again in the future. So to do that, all I have to do is simply create a crossing window around that portion of the model, just selecting that island information. I then just simply right-click and select Add Group. Now now that opens up the group dialog, and I'm now able to go in and see the elements that are being selected that comprise that new group. I can change the view of this so I can see exactly what it's going to look like. So I just turned on rendered outline here. And I did that by simply right-clicking and selecting the option. So again, these are just options to help you see visually what you have selected. And you just want to make sure that you give it a proper name in here. So here I'm just going to say island layout. Again, you want this to be unique so that way when you're looking through your catalog, you can see it very clearly and you know what it is that you're selecting. Once I have the name added in and I'm happy with the elements that have been selected, and I know that these are the elements that I want included, I just simply say OK. Now what's going to happen is when I go to select that group option, I now have a new island layout that is again comprised of all that island information that I selected. And I can now take this and move into another drawing area, a part of my model, and say, well, I know that this island's going to be in here as well. Or if I go File, New Drawing, I just create a new drawing quick. And add in some walls. I can say that I know I want that island to be a part of my new drawing as well. So I'm again going to select the groups option, island layout, and again, that island layout will be added in. So I don't have to insert each individual cabinet anymore. I can actually insert a group of elements that make up that island layout elements. I'm just going to close that drawing down. And that'll bring us back in here, and I'm just going to delete that out of there. So the next thing I want to talk about is cut, copy, and paste in a worksheet view. So you can cut and copy an object from one worksheet and paste it into another worksheet using the cut, copy, and paste tools. To do this, all you have to do is select the element that you want to copy or cut. And we're just going to go into our details tab here. And let's say that I know that I'm going to use these details over and over again in a bunch of additional drawings. So what I can do here is I can start a new drawing. So I'm going to go File, New. And again, just going to create a new drawing. And I'm going to go to the Details tab here. You can see that. I'm going to go to Window, and I'm going to go back to my Grouping Webinar Details page. So Grouping Webinar Details. And I'm going to say that I know I'm going to use this again. So I want to take all of this, or I can take just a portion of it. Again, it does not matter. I'll just select the elements that you want. You can then go Edit, Copy, or Cut, depending on your preference of what you're trying to do. Now you're going to have that copied to your clipboard, and I can go to Window, Project, to Details, and I can say Edit, Paste. And now attached to my cursor are those elements that I've copied from one working drawing sheet in one project to another working drawing sheet in another project. And you can do the same thing for your smart views as well. So if I wanted to go back into here and say, I want to go back to Grouping Webinar Model, I will go to Floor Plan. Let's say I want to insert or define a floor plan for this one sheet. I can say Insert, drop that in. I can again select that, say Edit. This time, let's say Cut. Go to my new drawing sheet. We'll say Project 2 Floor Plan. And I can say Edit, Paste. And now that floor plan is now cut from the one model and pasted into my other model onto that working drawing sheet. Just a note, if you want to copy an object within the same worksheet, you may just want to use the Modify Duplicate tool instead. This way you have better control over its placement. So what we mean by that is if I go back to, let's go back to our webinar here, we'll just say Details. Let's just say I want to copy this on this sheet. So instead of just doing a cut or copy option, I would just go in and say Modify, Duplicate, and I can control the base point of where I want to duplicate that from and place it in my drawing. And the other nice thing is it will continue to place it until I say right-click finish. So if it's going to be an object that you're going to be duplicating on the same sheet multiple times, or if it's just on the same sheet itself, then use the Modify Duplicate tool to take advantage of that. The Cut, Copy, and Paste feature is more for being used between working drawing sheets or between drawing files themselves. So next we're going to be looking at cutting and pasting in your model views. So you can use the Cut and Paste tools to remove an inserted element and place it elsewhere in your drawing. You can also use the cut or copy element from one location and paste it on a different location or to a different drawing completely. To cut and paste an element in your model view, you're again going to simply select the element that you want to cut. You're then going to, and we're just going to go back in the model here. So again, hit Escape to cancel that command out. Go into our model view, and let's just say we want to copy or cut this chair from here, and we want to paste it over to here. Or we want to, again, move this to a completely new drawing. So again, I would just go to my window, and I would switch to the view that I want to. I'm going to say cut. You can see that it actually disappears from the model view. I'm going to go back to window. I'm going to say I want to go to project 2 model. I'm going to say edit, paste, and it's now pasted that element into the drawing for me. So there I can see that it's cut the chair away from the one model view and pasted it into my new model view. So again, select the chair, right-click, cut, or edit, cut, and then you're going to go into your model view, edit, paste, and then you can paste it where you want that chair to go. And then you can move it around, again, placing it where you want that chair to be positioned in your model. So you can do that between files themselves, or you can do it within the actual file that you're working on. So again, I can select all of this information here and say it's going to be copied from here because it's going to be a continuous layout of the same design over and over again. It's going to be repeating. I'm just going to copy the information that I know is going to be repeating. I'm just going to paste it into my other side. So I'm just going to say copy. And I'm going to say I want to, again, go edit, paste. And I can now move this where I want it to go and snap it into this drawing area. I've now copied it from one area and pasted it into another area. Or I can again switch locations, say second floor, and I can say edit, paste. And again, I can paste this onto the second floor to drop it in if I was going to have a repeating layout on additional floors. The same is going to be true in your model view. So if you're going to be copying within your model or on your location, you can also use the right-click duplicate option. This will also work in your model views. Or if you're going to be copying between locations, you can take advantage of the selection of your elements, right-click, and select duplicate to locations. So if it's going to be something, again, that you're going to be repeating within your drawing on multiple locations, then you can use the duplicate to location tool. If you're going to be copying from your own model view to another model view in another drawing, then you can use the copy, cut, copy, or paste tool there to use that option to place those elements in. So that covers basically everything I wanted to talk about with grouping, cut, copy, and paste. So I'm just going to go over a quick lesson overview, touching back on the beginning of what we talked about, which is grouping. So when it comes to grouping, the grouping tool is just a group of elements that have been added together to create one element. That one element is then going to be stored in the catalog, and you can actually select it and place it into any drawing that you want to. Once that element is added in, it is individual elements that you can modify. So a wall is still a wall, a door is still a door. You can still edit that information and make adjustments to it to suit your design needs. You can also take groups of elements and create an element to add to the catalog. So again, if I wanted to take this furniture layout, I can again just create a crossing window around the elements that I want to be included in that group. Right click, say Add Group. This will again bring up the group catalog dialog. And again, I can see the elements that are going to be comprised that make up that element group. And I can just call this living room layouts. And again, I can see all the information that's being added in. So I have a mid-century modern armchair, I have a mid-century modern buffet table, a television, a coffee table, and then a sofa. So those elements make up that group. I say OK, and the catalog will now populate with all those elements in this drawing. If I go into interiors, and we can take that, let's try that again and see if that add group. And we'll say living room, layout, and we'll say OK. And we're going to go into walls and then back to group. Oh, there it is. OK. So it added in twice. Let's delete out one of them. So here we have our living room layout that, again, I can select and drop in to any drawing to place it in. And that is creating a group from your elements that you have in your model. We then talked about the cut, copy, and paste tool in your worksheet views, which allows you to transfer information from one sheet to another sheet or from one project to another project. So again, going to my Details tab, I can take elements out and I can copy them from one worksheet to another by simply just going right-click, and we're going to say Edit, and we'll say Copy, and I can paste them onto another drawing sheet, Edit, Paste, and place it in. Or I can take that same information and cut it from one drawing file, or copy it from one drawing file to another drawing file. Again, I can say Edit, Cut, and it will remove it from the original drawing sheet. Go to Model, select my new drawing sheet, in my different model, Edit, Paste, and I can now paste this into my drawing sheet on my new file. So again, cut and copy from your worksheets can be done, and you can paste it into your same working drawing sheet on a different view in your same model, or you can paste it into a new drawing itself to create a copy of that original element. And the last thing we talked about is the cut and paste tool in your model view, which will allow you to cut or copy and then paste between your locations or to a different file completely. Again, if we're just going to go File, Window, and we're going to go back to our grouping webinar model. So again, you can select a group of elements. So you can say we want to copy this dining room layout and we want to paste it into a new drawing file. I can say Edit, right-click and say Cut or Copy. We'll say Copy, and I can now paste this into a new drawing file. If you're going to be copying between locations, you can select the elements themselves and just say right-click, duplicate to location, and say second floor. This will also be similar to the cut and copy feature. And then if you wanted to remove the original, it would prompt you. I'm going to say no. And now when I go to that second floor, I'll have that furniture layout on the second floor. So that covers everything I wanted to talk about today with the grouping, cut, copy, and paste. So I'm going to open up the questions section. So again, if you have any questions at all about anything that we've covered today, please feel free to go ahead and enter those in. And I'll do my best to answer those questions for you. I'm just going to remove some of this information out while I wait for some questions to come in. We have a question here. Is this feature only available in 14? Yes, the grouping feature is only available in version 14. I believe the cut, copy, and paste feature is available in 13, but only in the worksheet view. Cut, copy, and paste in model view is also a version 14 feature. Okay, I'm just going to delete some of the stuff out in case you have a question about repeating any of these steps so that you can see it again. One question I know I get frequently with this new feature is when you're placing something in, you can't really rotate it. So for example, if I wanted to place this sunroom and I wanted it to snap up against this wall here, it's not going to flip it around for me. So I would just essentially add it in off to the side, like so. I can then select it, right click, and rotate it around a point to get it the direction that I want, and then I can move it into place so that it snaps in correctly. And I can move this, if I turn off F8, by pressing F8 on my keyboard, that turns off ortho for me, so I can move things around a little bit easier, and I can place things in where I want them to go. So that is going to help with that constraining of snapping it to just 90-degree angles. Again, I'll edit, undo that so you can see that again. Edit, undo, and edit, undo. So again, as you add something in, it may need to be flipped or rotated around. So you can add it into your drawing area, off to the side, left click to place it, select the elements, right click, rotate, and then rotate it around the points. In this case, I want F8 on because I only want it to snap in the 90-degree direction when I'm rotating it. But when I'm moving it, I want to be able to move it freely. So I'm just going to go right click, move from this point, and then I'm going to turn off ortho with the F8 button and snap it into the wall where I want it to go. And again, so you can see the pergola here. So again, it's just a group of elements added in together to create a common shape that I know I'll be using multiple times. So here I have a group of columns and members that create a pergola that I can add into any drawing that I want off the back of a design to create a pergola shape. So I'll leave the question section open for a couple more minutes. So again, if you have any questions about this new feature, please feel free to go ahead and enter it in. I'm just going to zoom out the back here so that we can see this pergola out the back of our design. Again, like I said, each element is still independent, so it's not like it's a block. It's just a group of elements that still contain their own properties that you can modify. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the class, I will be sending out a PDF of what we covered today, so you will have some documentation on this. You can try it out on your own. And this class has also been recorded, so it will be converted and uploaded so that way you can watch it again at your own leisure as well. That looks like that is all the questions. So I want to thank everybody for attending today. Again, I look forward to speaking with you all again very soon, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you very much.